Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Kellyscards.ca, and I'm so glad you could join me for this What's in My Stash video. So this week I'm going to exclusively talk about my sewing machine. I bought a Brothers sewing machine a number of years ago, and we're talking probably 7-8 years ago, and I had it last about 6-7 years, and I actually bought the exact same model again. I think it had a harder time at the end because it really wasn't made for paper, but of course that's what I'm using it for. My sewing machine rarely sees fabrics. So I bought this machine. It's an embroidery machine. I will show you it up closer in a second, but I love this machine for putting sewing on cards, sewing things together. The stitching lines not only look good as decoration, but you can use this to have your pieces of paper bonded together. And this saves on adhesive and it gives a nice decorative look. So to get started, I will show you my machine now in a different camera view. I'm just going to show my sewing machine here. This is this Brothers sewing machine, and it's actually an embroidery machine. It comes with a ton of stitches, which is really good for scrapbooking and card making. But this also has embroidered patterns. This is a really awesome machine. I'm not quite sure if it's still sold at Costco, but if it is, I will write the information below. You can see there is the model, the HE240. And I just like it because it's got this screen that you can go through your stitches. And you can see all the stitches. You can change the width and the length. And I love this button here. This cuts the threads at the end of when you're done sewing. And then of course this one puts the needle in. So really like a lot of things about this sewing machine that I didn't quite like about other machines. And that's why I bought this one. So I'm just going to switch to this angle here so I can show you how I use my sewing machine. Basically, I'll take strips of paper, or I'll cut flagged ends or whatnot, or circles. Basically, you can sew anything. I will line it up and I'll put it into my sewing machine and make sure it's nice and straight before I get started. And what I'll do then is I will run it all the way to the end, like so here. And I'll just stop it at the end, and then that button actually cuts the threads. And as we can see here, it is really pretty stitched, so I'll just finish up the other side here. And I just guide it with my fingers, just like you would fabric. The only difference is you want to have a little bit of a thinner needle. You want your hole small, so you would want to use a smaller needle. Now I'm going to show you how I will take just strips of paper and sew them together to create a background. So I'm going to take this one here and this one here, and I'm just going to sew them together. And then once they're together, I will add the next strip, and I'll just turn the speed up so it doesn't take too long. And I just have to be really careful because they're not glued together. Now, once I've got my needle, I will start here. And I just hold it from the back so that I've got good control over the pieces of paper. Now that I take this off, you can see that it's completely attached. It's going to look really good, and it will give us a really unique background. So now I'm going to just add this other strip and finish this off for this background. It's it's really important to hold the papers together so they don't separate while it is sewing the upper part of the paper. What I've done is I've just trimmed this down now so it will fit. And when I bring in my black cardstock here to make a card base, you can just see how nice the stitching is, how it all comes together, and it just adds a really nice element. And when you do stitching on the card, which I have literally for years doing the stitching on the cards like this, you can just see how much it adds to the card. You don't really have to add a lot of embellishments, a lot of different elements on your card, because the stitching really becomes part of the main focal point and it really adds to the card. So we did this one, and we also did the blue and red one, and this would make a great masculine card. And I really like this. Just use my bone folder here to get that crease. But as you can see here, again, look at how nice the stitching looks. And this is before we add anything to it. And I think by having the stitching on, like I say, it really reduces how much stuff you really need to have on top of your card, because this in itself is an embellishment. I hope you enjoyed watching me do the backgrounds for these cards and the information on my sewing machine. It is amazing, like I say, the nice look it leaves on the cards. And again, I didn't have to put any adhesive down. All I did was sew these together, and now it's together. I still have to adhere this piece to this piece, but I have even actually done sewing along the outside to adhere it to the paper as well, and that just adds even more decoration. So keep in mind, there are a lot of sewing machines on the market that have the basic stitches. You don't have to look for an expensive machine, just look for one that has the stitches you like. That's a good price. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can check me out on my website at Kellyscards.ca. You can subscribe for more videos, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.